with us. Cameron, how are you? Good morning.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing
I'm
very,
good.
I'm doing very well, and I appreciate you dealing with me. I know I've been texting you all week trying to get you on, and I'm glad that you're a morning person first and foremost.
Yeah, I'm an old person. Late at night, but I get lots of calls from different places early in the morning, so no problem.
So it's obviously fight week for Terence Crawford, and last week was a Jaron Boots Ennis fight. So I wanted to have you on for multiple reasons. There is right now. It sounds like there will be a petition put in from Delorme's team petitioning the fight and the result for Jaron Boots Ennis. Have you heard about this, and what do you expect to come of it?
No, of course I've heard of it, but look, the referee. It was reshown on TV and you in slow motion, and you can see clearly that it hit him on the ear and jaw. So, I mean, it was pretty clear on there, and they reshowed it and in slow motion, and so I don't know what he's doing, but I really don't want to get into that. That he said something to the Nevada Athletic Commission, and I'm sure their referee Ortiz was very fair, and they reshowed it on the air and on Showtime, and I think everybody knows that he got hit with a clean shot.
So I guess the $1 million question is, how do you find all these talented fighters that you find? I mean, you've been, you know, very successful at finding great talent, notable talent, pay-per-view talent. I mean, the list goes on and on. How do you do it?
I don't. It's the Lord that does it, brother. Believe me, I'm not that smart. And anyone who knows me knows I'm not that smart. I have a real art that the Lord gave me, and I've got like 5 guys I'm looking at right now, and and I've got a real blessing knowing how to move them once I get them and put them in the right situation, and I have a real blessing at finding them, and I just know when I see one, my stomach churns. I get excited about it, and I know that I'm going to do my best to try to sign them. I don't get every one, but I get quite a bit of them.
Can you walk us through how you came across Boots Ennis and how that relationship started, if you don't mind?
Well, I know the dad for many, many years, and we worked together with a fighter, Anthony Thompson. We worked with a fighter, Demetrius Hopkins, and we worked with a few more. So I've known him for a long time. He's known me for a long time, and he liked the way that I worked with those guys, and he called me up and said, "Have you been watching my son at the Olympic trials?" And I said, "Well, I'm sort of out of boxing right now because I had sort of let some guys go, and I was pretty much out of boxing." And he said, "We should talk about Boots." So one thing led to another, and I wound up signing him. So that's I've known him a long, long, long time, and we get along great. And I was on the phone with him last night for quite a while. So it was just a good situation. And then right after that, Brandon Lee's dad, Bobby Lee, called me and said, "Would really like to work with you. We've seen what you've done with all these guys from the desert and up here, and we really want to work with." So I knew the Lord. You don't have guys like that call you and ask you to work with them. So I knew it was time to get back into boxing, and those kids are doing really great. I'm really proud of them.
Can you give me your story? Because I feel like I've interviewed you before, and you told me that I know specifically, I remember you saying that you stopped being a manager because fighters can leave you, and as a promoter, they can't. And that was something that stuck with me. So, I mean, listening to you now, did you get out of boxing because some of the fighters and the talent that you found left you and you were feeling depressed, maybe?
I wasn't depressed. I just felt like it was time to leave, and I wanted to spend time with the Lord, and I wanted to get saved, and I wanted to understand who Jesus Christ was, and I had to take time to do that. And so I walked away from boxing. I let some guys go, and I wasn't doing much in boxing, very, very little. And and I knew when they were, it was getting down thin. I knew it was time to go, and so I just got out and did what I wanted to do. And then the next thing I knew, I started getting calls, and so and I wanted to promote instead of manage, because I wanted to have more control. Doesn't mean they can't leave you, but that wasn't the whole thing. It was finding the right guys that I wanted to work with, and and then they called me, so I knew it was time to do it. And I just like being in more control, and so I can move them the way I want to move them. And if you look at them all, 25-0, and 28-0, and 21-0, and 23-0, and a few of them are fighting this weekend, and then I've got a fight on Showtime on the 11th of December, and then on a pay-per-view on the 18th of December. So they're all staying busy, and they're all winning, and it's a real good situation.
It is, man. It is, and I'm happy to hear that you have, turned your life around and found Jesus and saved yourself. I was, oh my God, who is is that you, Cameron? Are you on a speakerphone?
I'm on a speaker. You want me to go off?
Yeah. We're getting feedback. I'm sorry.
Is that better?
It is. So, yeah, like I was saying,
Okay.
man, I'm raised Pentecostal Christian, so I definitely know what it is to be a God-fearing man. Not to say that I'm not a backslider, but do you think that's made you now a better promoter because you fear you're God-fearing? So you're more honest?
I always feared God. Always. I was always afraid of God. And that's what brought me to him at such a late stage. I just kept thinking, honestly, if I was to die today, where would I be? For eternity. And eternity's a scary thought. We don't even understand it. And so I brought my life to a halt. And, he's the most important. But there's no doubt that he makes me a better a better at what I do, and how I can, forgive people, and and I'm thankful. All of those things are his attributes. He's love. He's the one that helps you forgive. I couldn't do this. I mean, it's him, and he's made me a lot kinder, and and I try and do the best I can for the kids, and I always did that, but I did it in different ways. Now I'm doing it in a real straight way. And so, yes, and there's no doubt that, when you get saved, your whole life changes. And I'm so thankful that, I stopped and did that. That was at 57 years old, man. Very few people get saved at 57, so he never forgot about me, and I'm so thankful.
Well, amen to that. I think that it's amazing, and like you said, I think it will make you better, especially in this game. But I do want to ask you about Terence Crawford. How'd you find that talent? I know you're no longer with them, so I hope some of these questions don't bother. But when and how did you find Bud Crawford?
I knew from the amateurs. He was a tremendous amateur. And I had heard that, they did the National Golden Gloves in Omaha, and they said there were over 2,000 people there. So, he was very interesting to me. I thought he could really fight when I saw him in the amateurs a few times, and I thought he was terrific. And so I wanted to work with him. And then when I heard how many people he brought to the National Gloves when it was there, I said, well, people also love him. So, it's a great guy to sign. So I went out after him, and he sent me to Bomac. And I called Bomac, and it took a little while, but we worked it out, and I got him signed. And, he's a terrific fighter, man.
Now, do you feel that they're promoting this fight properly in the sense with the tagline that they're using, right? They're calling it his toughest opponent to date. Do you believe that?
Oh, yeah, I think he's the toughest fight for Terence. I think Terence will win the fight. But I think it's a tough fight, yeah.
And there's also, obviously, Bob Arum never gave him that Manny Pacquiao fight. And there's an interview out there that, he says that he feels like Terence is vulnerable to southpaws. As a talent scout, in a sense, did you ever see that? Because I know there was a hindrance from you when the Prescott fight came around. It was Bomac that pushed for that. And I kind of remember you not wanting the Prescott fight, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, but I didn't want the Prescott fight because it was so early in his career, and I didn't know him near as well as Bomac. Bomac lives there with him, and they both talked to me and said, "Look, give us the fight." So I did, and was I leery of it? Yeah, of course I was. It was a big step up, and it was fight week. I mean, to change opponents and take on a guy like that on TV, but they were confident and they were right, and they made the right decision, and they told me, look, we want this fight, give it to us. So I did, and it turned out great. So, but I don't think Terence has a problem with a southpaw, right-handed. He doesn't have a problem with anybody. He's a great fighter.
Were you still with him when any of the Pacquiao negotiations were in play, or were you already out the picture?
I was out of the picture by then. I wasn't involved in any of those negotiations about fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Now, being in the sport as long as you have, seeing that Manny's just fought Ugas, he fought Keith, do you think he avoided Terence, or they didn't offer him enough money? Like, why do you think that fight never happened when they were both on Top Rank?
I don't know. Again, I wasn't involved in it, so I can't really say. I was so fortunate when I was at Top Rank because I got, Tim Bradley fought Pacquiao, and Jesse Vargas fought Pacquiao, and Brandon Rios fought Pacquiao, and there might have been someone else, too, that I had that fought Pacquiao. So I was very fortunate with those fights, but I wasn't involved with the fight for Terence. So I really don't know why it didn't happen.
But your educated guess, I mean, wouldn't that be a logical fight, in-house fight?
Yeah, but as you know, man, it takes two guys to make a fight. And I know Terence wanted to fight him. That, Bomac told me that several times. And who wouldn't want to fight him, But obviously, the other guys weren't excited about the fight. That's just a guess. But Terence never turned down anybody. The whole time I was with him, he never turned down. Like you're just saying, he wanted to fight, and step up on HBO the week of the fight. Those guys never turned down a fight. So I can't imagine them not wanting the fight.
So we had an insider on. I'm sure you know Keith Idek. He's been covering the sport forever. And he kind of made...
He's a great guy.
He is, but you may not like what he said in terms of that Cameron Dunkin will need to make a deal with Al Heyman if he wants to take Boots to the next level to get any of the bigger name PBC fighters. Do you believe that's true?
No, we sat and we talked about it at the fight out here a couple of weeks ago. We sat next to each other at the press conference. He sat down next to me, and we talked about it. And he said, "You're going to have to, do something with someone else." And I said, "Oh, everyone does. Aram has to work with somebody, and Al Heyman has to work with somebody. They all do. That's how fights are made." So I told him, I'm willing to work with anybody as long as it's reasonable and it's good for my fighter. So, yeah, that's, if Heyman's got the guy that we want to fight, okay. If Aram's got the guy, if somebody else has a guy, then, we have to do business. We have to work with people. It's the only way things come together.
Beautiful. So, Cameron, can I have your trajectory for Boots, politic free? If you had your way, who would his next 3 fights be? Your way, no politics.
Look, he wants to get a title. So, obviously, it'd be great to get a title fight. But, there's also he wants to fight everybody, and I do mean everybody. So, I can't really put him in order, but he would love to fight, what's his name, Thurman, we know that. And he would love to fight Ugas. And, and he's told me, I want to fight them all, Cameron. He just told me that the other day. And so he doesn't care what order they're in. He just wants to fight the best guys out there. He goes, I want to show who I am. I want to prove that I'm for real. And he is for real. Believe me, he's for real. So we'll just get him the best fights we can and moving, but he's ready to start stepping up and fighting guys out there. And now it's our job to get him the right fights.
So after his fight with Delorme, he said Errol Spence. And if you look at the rankings, he's number 3. Sean Porter's number 2. And Quadrichilo Abdurakhorov is number 1. And he's been number 1 since 2018. After Ocampos in 19 got his mandatory shot at Earl, nothing's moved in that division. Now, simply because Porter is fighting Bud, which means win or lose, he's out of that ranking. Like, they will remove him from number 2. Is it safe? Like, would you consider a petition to Daryl Peoples in the IBF for an eliminator maybe with Abdurakhorov or a straight title shot at the 2-belt champion in Earl Spence? Or is that too soon?
No, we're talking to all of them. We'll gladly fight for the IBF, and I'm definitely going to fight for the IBO. We tried to do that, and he got headbutted, so that didn't work out. But we're going to go back to the IBO, but we also can fight. Having the IBO doesn't mean we can't fight for the the WBO or WBC or IBF or WBA. So we're talking to all of them, and we're moving forward. And I'm surprised the fight that everybody's begging me to do is Ortiz, and you haven't mentioned him at all.
Because I just figure it's
too soon.
No, not too soon. I think it's politically not possible with Golden Boy being with Dazn and you having Showtime's invested in you. So I don't see them allowing Boots to go to Dazn. And I don't think Dazn is gonna, they're invested in Virgil. They've given them big name fights on Dazn. I don't think they're gonna let him walk across the street. It's a fight for down the line when both of them, when they're in their Earl and Spence stages where they have to come together. I think they still got some work to do. Or do you disagree? Are you trying to make it sooner than later?
No, I'm just saying that, you're acting like you can't work together. You're saying to me, like I have to give Boots away or they have to give Ortiz away, or that's not how it works. So you know better than that. We work together for a fight or two or three, and we set up the fight. But he's still where he is, and my guy's still where he is. So it's just working together. It's just business to make a great fight and make money. So I'm not saying it's the right time for an Ortiz fight, but it's the fight that everybody's calling me to, how about making Ortiz? How about making Ortiz? I think that'll be a terrific fight, and people want to see it. So I was just surprised you hadn't mentioned it.
I love the fight. I just don't see how it's possible, Like I said, I feel like both entities have invested a lot in each fighter, and that fight isn't ready for pay-per-view, so they won't get a return on their investment. So they won't want to do that. But I could be wrong. If you're telling me I'm wrong, I'll be optimistic with you.
No, I'm not telling you wrong. It's not a fight that I'm looking at right next week either. So, but it's just somebody that they're mentioning. Mm-hmm. And I was just curious why you hadn't mentioned it. But I agree with you. I would like to build that fight up because I think that could be a huge fight one day.
So, when it comes to Thurman, how realistic is that? Because the fight fans have been waiting for a return for him for some time now. Have there been any conversations with Thurman? Because Keith Idec seems to think that Thurman just wants too much money right now.
He does want a lot of money, and so that's really up to Showtime if they want to do it or not. He's a Heyman fighter, and so it's a very doable fight. But they have not mentioned him. Steven Espinosa's not mentioned him in a while. So I got a feeling he's asking for a lot of dough. Mm.
So what do you think is most realistic for Boots next?
I don't know. We just talked yesterday, but we're waiting for this fight this weekend, and then they said, we'll start talking about how things iron out. And the WBA has been, they're doing things with moving guys around too. So, and the WBC convention's going right now. So, we'll see how everything sorts out, and then we'll start talking about who we're going to fight.
All right. And so you're picking Crawford, though. You said that. You say he's probably, you're picking him to win.
Yeah, I think Crawford wins the fight. He's a real class fighter, and I think he'll find a way. Like I said, I don't think it's easy with Porter ever. He comes in hard and throws lots of punches, and We saw how he did with Spence and all the other guys. He's a rough guy. But I think Terence will figure it out, and he'll find a way to be really smart and clever, and he'll find a way to win a decision.
All right, we got a few from the people. Cut me whenever you got to go. Miguel says, what's the key aspect you look for in a fighter when scouting?
Well, you're looking for something outstanding, something different. Like he's got great power, he's got great speed or great reflexes, or, you're looking for something that's different, that's not ordinary. And, you look for that one quality. Sometimes you find a guy who's got 2 or 3 qualities. So, that makes it an easy pick. But, you're looking for something that most guys can't do. That's, I guess, the easiest way to put it.
Ruin the 504 says, do you feel the business of boxing ruins boxing?
I do at times, yeah. I think a lot of things are done. We shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes. And, bad decisions, things like that we really don't need. We really don't need that.
King Born in Brooklyn says, in your eyes, who is the best offensive boxer that goes into great defense? I have no clue what that means.
Switches back and forth, doesn't leave himself to get hit when he goes on the offense, I think is what he's asking. And I'm sorry, but I got to say Boots Ennis. He can go from offense to defense constantly. He's extremely smart, and I think he does it better than anybody right now.
He has been getting hit on the inside, man. You don't think he's staying on the inside a little bit too long? Both last fights, Lipinets and Delorme were able to clip him with right hands on the inside. Obviously, they're just not the punchers that, the upper elite.
Well, what's so funny is watch all the other fights, and guys are getting hit 10, 15 times around. Boots gets hit one time, and everybody goes, oh, he's open to get hit. Well, you're going to get hit. Ray Leonard told me many, many moons ago, he said, I don't care how fast, how sharp, how good you are defensively, if you get in that ring, you're going to get hit. And that was years ago. And boy, was he right. I don't care how quick and fast. Boots is as quick and fast as anybody. Terence Crawford, what a skillful guy and fast and smart. They all get hit. You're going to get hit. So, you're talking about, 2 punches or 1 punch, that Boots ran into. Well, when you're that offensive, you're going to get hit once in a while. So, he still, makes people miss a lot of punches. So, he could move around the ring and not be so offensive, and believe me, he won't get hit at all. So, but that's his choice. He likes to put on a great show for people. He loves to knock people out, and he loves to make exciting fights. So, but could he go out there and just move around the ring and box and jab and not get hit? Yeah, he could do that. But would you love watching him as much as you do if he did that? Probably not.
Coach Myers in Connecticut says, good morning. In an interview I heard you in last year, you said, I never signed a Mayweather, a De La Hoya, that kind of guy, but I think I have that kind of guy now with Boots. Question, do you actually think Boots is better an overall fighter than Terence Bud Crawford?
Honestly, I do. I really do, and I've said that for a while now. Nothing against Crawford at all. Nothing against Terence. I just don't think he's Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is something that comes along every, Ray Leonard, Mayweather. Just every 20, 30 years, you get a guy like that. He's really exceptional. And, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I really think he's special.
Do you think Boots ends up fighting Crawford in this lifetime? Do we see that fight before Crawford retires? Do their paths cross?
I don't think so. But, in this business, it changes every few minutes, and that's true. So maybe things will change. Maybe he'll beat Porter, and people will start, and Boots will win a title, and maybe then it's a fight that people want to see. So you never know, but right now it doesn't look like it.
Scott, the Christian fight fan. Good morning, Mr. Dunkin. Thank you for coming on the best boxing podcast on the planet, The Boxing Voice. Do you think Boots will have an opportunity to fight for a title in 2022?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
And I look for him to fight twice for titles in 2022.
So you're
for
saying
2 belts.
So you think he's going to unify by next year?
I think he's going to win the IBO world title.
Okay.
And I think he's going to win another one in 2022. Yes, I do.
Wow. All right. So IBO and Ugas. Because if it wasn't Ugas, you'd be saying 3 belts in 1 year.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think you'll win 2 belts. I really do.
Now, Cameron, I gotta ask, man, because I sit here and I try to play matchmaker. If you think what you just said is that Boots is overall better than Bud, so why wouldn't the play be to go after Earl? Like, as a manager, promoter, you gotta be looking at Earl. He went through the accident. And then he's got the retina detachment. He's got a year out the ring. None of those things are making you excited to put your young lion in there with him instead of going IBO and WBA?
It's not about that right now. He's not fighting. And we hear stories, about how bad the eye is. And we hear all these stories. But right now he's not fighting. So we have to stay busy, man. We have to keep fighting.
All right.
So that's what we're doing.
No, this is great. So at least we know that you've been told he's off the table.
Yeah, I've been told that he's off the table, and I know, Boots wants to fight him. He wants to fight everybody, and he even said he wanted to fight him next. But right now, Spence isn't fighting, so it's ridiculous to waste time on it. If it changes, then we'll jump right on it.
Beautiful. I gotta ask. Well, let me get to these people's question, but don't let you go without talking about Brandon Norman. I hear he did some interesting things. Did you hear any rumors? That's your fighter, right?
Yeah, that's my fighter.
Did you hear any
Brian
rumors
Norman
in the last?
Is terrific talent.
Okay, but can you confirm or deny any rumors that have been said about him in the last 2-3 weeks? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, no, a bunch of people called me that were there at the gym, boxing writers and different people in Atlanta, and I got a thing from Bomac. He sent me over, please, Cameron, if it's true, I'm not saying it is, but stop the rumors about, things happening with Crawford and your guy Brian Norman. I didn't say any of them, and I told him to call me about it. He never did, but I wasn't saying it. I wasn't there. It was all the guys calling me that were there. And so,
but they called you and specifically said what, though? What were they calling you specifically saying?
They said that your kid Brian is a beast, and he really put it on Crawford. That's what they said. They didn't say knocked him down or knocked him out or any of the things that Bomac said. Please don't say that he knocked him down or knocked him out. I never said anything like that. I wasn't there. But other people were saying that he put it on Terence. And I wasn't there. Just several people called me and said so. And his dad called me, Brian's dad, and I asked him, and he was just excited. He said he did really, really well, Cameron. And I had sent him up to Philadelphia to spar with Boots. And he said he really had trouble with Boots, really bad. And I said, well, that's why you're up there. You're going to learn, and Boots isn't going to overdo it on you. He's going to work with you, and it's going to make Brian better. And he said, man, that Boots is the best fighter. His dad said to me, you're right. He's the best fighter in the world. I've never seen anybody do that to Brian. And then, a couple weeks later, he sparred with Terence, and he called me and told me differently. He said that Brian did really well. So I don't know, it's you don't know why things are like that. I wasn't there, but I heard that he did very, very well, so that was good.
But all in all, you're still picking Bud. You're not, regardless of how well your young prospect did, and you're still going with Bud.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. He's a great fighter, and sparring doesn't mean, you know that. It doesn't mean anything. Sparring is sparring. Fighting is fighting. And, and I got a feeling it probably wasn't as bad as people said it was for Terence in sparring. I mean, if a 20-year-old kid who's 21-0 does really well with a great champion like Crawford, 3-time world champion, even if he does just decent with him, people are going to say things. Mm. So I don't know how bad it was, but people were talking a lot of stuff. So I was glad for Brian. I know that's good for him. He learns. He got to spar, Boots for 3 weeks, and then he gets to get in with Terence Crawford. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's a great learning experience. And he's a 40-pounder. He's not even a 47. Mm. So I was really proud of him.
That's amazing. I thought he was a welterweight sparring those guys. We got a few more, Cameron. Young Tiga that says, who are your top 3 greatest undisputed fighters of all time?
Oh, boy. Well, you got to, Ray Robinson, Ray Leonard, get those out of the way. And definitely Roy Jones. Roy Jones, to me, was just unbelievable. So I don't know. There's 3 guys, and we could sit here and name 20 more. So maybe not as great, but very close. So it's hard to say. But of those 3 guys, I would definitely say.
JC says, Mr. Dunkin, do you think the NBF rule is still in effect today?
The what rule? I'm sorry.
NBF? I don't know. I was hoping you knew what he was talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
All right.
I wish I could answer it, but I don't know.
Brandon Lenz, the producer, says, knowing what you know about Top Rank, how long do you think it will take for Shakur Stevens to get a shot at Oscar Valdez?
I don't know. I'm not in that business, but it's a terrific fight, and I hope for Shakur's sake it happens. But no, Shakur is a terrific fighter. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best fighters today, so hopefully he gets that opportunity.
Big Casual, just 2 more left, Mr. Duncan. Big Casual says, if Boots couldn't get an eliminator in the IBF rankings, would you guys consider fighting Butayev for the regular WBA title?
Absolutely.
That's going to be
Yeah,
a great
we
fight. That
we
guy has a
talked about
tank,
that.
man. He has.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
I watched that Alexander Buzbutin fight as well. I mean, he lost it, but obviously it was overturned because of the positive test. But tough fight. He's a tough fight, and he's dirty. Did you watch the what was it? Ugas? Was it no? Jamal James. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I was there. I watched it live. Yeah.
You don't think he's a little dirty?
He's a little dirty. He's rough.
Yeah.
But he's a little slow, and I think Boots finds a way to get him taken care of. But no, you're right. I mean, if you lay in front of him and stay there, he can be a dangerous guy, man.
And last one from Nova Scotia, Jeff, who says, "Hey, Cameron, I'm a big fan. Can you please put together Castillo Clayton of Canada versus Boots Ennis? Thank you. Much appreciated." What happened to that
That's
fight?
one of the names that came across. So, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to do that fight, too. So it just depends on what else is offered. But that's a name that keeps coming across. So
Now, he's in Vegas, and he put on his Instagram that he's in camp started. So can't be for you guys, right?
No.
All right, maybe he's getting torn up.
They're doing something else with him.
All right, well, that is all our questions. We thank you for your time. Once again, I really appreciate you getting up early. I know you say it's nothing for you, but, still we appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It was fun.
I appreciate it. There you go.
Bye-bye.
Cameron Dunkin, promoter of Jaron Boots Ennis, and so many. Wow.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.